Tonight, our region's set to sizzle under soaring temperatures over the coming days, and the Adelaide Crows and Power to open their pre-season series at Port Pirie's Memorial Oval.
This is Southern Cross News with Abby Donaldson.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. Our region is set to sizzle under soaring temperatures over the coming days as a pool of hot air from northern Australia sweeps across the southeast. The mercury is set to nudge 40 degrees with little relief in sight for drought-stricken regions.
Summer is still over a month away, but the warmer months are returning with a vengeance. A high-pressure system from northern Australia will sweep across our region from tomorrow, bringing a mass of hot air with it. The Weather Bureau says we should brace ourselves for sweltering conditions.
Push into the mid-30s to high 30s, and then by Thursday, well into the mid to high 30s, and there might even be a few 40s.
While at Port Augusta and Port Pirie can expect temps in the mid-30s, soaring into the 40-degree mark by Thursday. It'll be slightly cooler for those in Port Lincoln, with temps staying around the 30-degree mark. Broken Hill will be nudging 40 by Thursday, while Kimber will be baking in 38-degree heat.
See some very sort of hot temperatures especially in the northeast of our state as early as there tomorrow.
Ironically, the heat packs a punch on the first official day of the fire season, November 1. It brings an increased fire risk, both out in the bush and in homes, as people crank their aircons.
Make sure that you have a qualified technician and electrician that actually install them.
Farmers are also praying the heat doesn't do further damage to crops in what's already been a horror year.
There's not much you can do about anything that the weather gods throw at you, but it's basically just hope for the best.
However, this summer burst won't last for too long, with a cool change to come through just in time for the weekend.
We'll see some unstable conditions coming across with showers and thunderstorms are possible.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
A man has been left with serious head injuries and 4 people have been arrested following a brutal assault in Port Pirie. Police were called to Thomas Street on Sunday afternoon.
Police responded. When they've arrived at the address, they located a male person in his 40s, which had a large laceration to his head. And was subsequently taken to hospital for assessment and treatment for his injuries.
A 20-year-old man, a 21-year-old man and a 22-year-old man, as well as a 35-year-old woman from Port Pirie were all arrested and charged with aggravated assault, cause harm. Anyone who witnessed anything is urged to call Crime Stoppers. Broken Hill has been named a priority renewable energy zone by the New South Wales Greens Party. They say the Silver City could play a major role in their push for more solar and wind power across the country.
With a wind farm out the back and a solar farm out the front, the Broken Hill region is making a name for itself.
It's a hotspot for renewable energy. The people of Broken Hill know that. They look at the solar farm, they look at the wind farm out at Silverton. They know it's economic development.
The Greens say their plan to introduce renewable energy zones around Australia, Broken Hill being one of them, would unlock billions of investment dollars. It revolves around a number of energy projects across the country with a goal of having Australia completely powered by renewable energy.
Our plan would put $2.8 billion into the transmission infrastructure we need and would identify 8 priority zones in New South Wales and 30 across Australia.
Mr Buckingham says a recent climate change report warned of the need to reduce the use of coal when it comes to energy. He believes this energy zone plan will have many benefits for local communities like Broken Hill.
It's about dealing with climate change, building the energy infrastructure for the future and making sure the regions have the jobs they need.
Mr Buckingham is calling on his federal and state colleagues to get on board with the plan.
We can move to renewable energy, we can go to the new technology that powers our economy, creates jobs and does so in the regions.
Patrick Ryankey, Southern Cross News.
13 councils in the electorate of Grey will receive up to $1 million in drought assistance. However, one of our councils missed out, with both the local MP and state opposition seeking answers.
It's been a rough year for our local farmers, but there's a bit of help on the way, with grants of $1 million to be distributed.
There's limitations on what you can do, but I think it's a big pickup to know that someone cares and is doing whatever they can to give you a hand.
Successful councils include Cleve, Franklin Harbour, Kimber, Mount Remarkable, Northern Areas, Orroroo and the Clare Valley. Mr Ramsey says the funds can be used for projects that may not have been possible due to the conditions.
Give the ability for jobs to get done, for organisations to get things done on the ground, bring in some resources.
One council unsuccessful, however, was the Flinders Rangers Council based around Quorn. Labour MP Eddie Hughes says he's shocked they've been left off the list.
The land has been destocked, so there needs to be some assistance directed to that area.
Mr Ramsey says he's looking into the situation and hopes money can make its way to the council.
I've got concerns about the fact that Flinders Rangers aren't included in this, and will be doing what I can.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Meantime, up to $10,000 in funding is available for community groups through the RAA. Applications for its annual regional safety grants will open this week. Funds will support projects that will improve the health and safety of regional communities. Previous grants have gone towards bushfire awareness, road safety and training opportunities.
Really important projects and activities that take place in regional communities around the various aspects of safety, and these grants are here to help make those activities occur.
Those interested can apply from Thursday, with applications closing on November 30. The AFL has announced its JLT fixture for 2019, with Port Pirie's Memorial Oval making the list. Port Adelaide and the Crows will play their first showdown for the year at the new sporting precinct, with an estimated 8,000 fans expected to fill the freshly refurbished grandstands.
After a 15-year hiatus from regional SA, the Summer Showdown is returning to Port Pirie. The AFL has added Memorial Oval to its JLT fixture, and locals couldn't be more excited. For the Oval, it'll be one for the history books. Up there alongside this iconic grand final goal by Crows premiership captain Mark Bickley back in '88.
The way of the player in Mark Bickley puts the ball to goal, and that's a medalist kick. Right deep in the right field.
The Oval in the revamped sporting precinct will host the opening round of the JLT Community Series.
Advised by the AFL that they're going to do a JLT game here on the 2nd of March. Port versus Crows, so you couldn't get much better than that. So we're really looking forward to the fact we're going to have a showdown here in Port Pirie.
Plenty of Crows veterans herald from the Mid-North and York Peninsula, including All-Australian ruckman Sam Jacobs, pocket master Eddie Betts and tackling demon Riley Knight.
Particularly, for our team, we obviously had a disappointing 2018, so this is an opportunity to start 2019 with a really strong performance.
Local and newest Port Power recruit Sam Mays will make his exciting debut at his old stomping grounds.
I mean, given that he's a local lad, I'm sure he'd be really keen to be playing. It'll be his first opportunity to play for Port Adelaide now that he's come back from Brisbane. So, I'm sure he'd be really looking forward to the opportunity.
For this old Crows fan, it's a great chance to watch the AFL's most prolific rivalry unfold. And to top it off, it's just down the road from home. Dominic Beaton, Southern Cross News.
You won't want to miss that game. Well, still to come tonight, Port Lincoln history buffs take locals and tourists through the centuries. Hello again. An activist group fighting for the Darling River and surrounding communities has welcomed a protest march set up by Broken Hill Council. The Darling River Action Group says it'll be a good chance for locals to make their voice heard.
A protest march that's picking up steam.
It's probably a long time coming, but at least it's happening now.
This weekend, Broken Hill City Council will hold their Day of Action March, a protest for better management along the Darling River and in the Menindee Lakes, but also for the effects of the Wentworth pipeline.
It's about making sure the Menindee Lakes and the Darling River continue to flow, but it's also about pricing. The pipeline's there, but we certainly don't want to pay for a pipeline that was laid down because of irrigators up north.
The Darling River Action Group have been tireless campaigners for communities along the Darling River and want to make sure that the river and the local lake systems don't run dry once the pipeline is operational. They will also be in attendance at Saturday's protest.
There is a fair few people coming. There's people from a wide range. There's Aboriginal representatives, there's state government representatives. So there'll be a lot of people there, and it's an opportunity for people to voice their concerns and let the politicians know that, look, the Broken Hill is not happy with what's happened.
The protest march will start from the town square at around 11 o'clock. It will finish in Sturt Park. Patrick Ryankey, Southern Cross News.
Meanwhile, the Silver City Cinema has officially opened its new mobility elevator today. The chairlift allows those with a disability to bypass the stairs and enjoy movies higher up in the theatre. The lift was funded by the Broken Hill community with over $60,000 raised in just over a month.
They find it a godsend now. We had a lady about a month ago, she just had a hip replacement and she hates going downstairs, and she was just like all over me like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
The chairlift has been dedicated to Sam Norman, who helped kickstart the fundraising campaign but tragically passed away earlier this year. The Tumby Bay Progress Association has been recognised once again for its work in developing the town's silo art mural, winning the People's Choice Award at the Brand South Australia Regional Showcase Awards. It was in recognition of the association's efforts in transforming the seaside town's grain silos. Earlier this year, Tumby Bay unveiled its artwork painted by Argentinian artist Martin Ron. The mural has since become a major tourist attraction. The first drops of paint have been added to some of Port Pirie's most iconic buildings to mark the start of the town's Big Picture Festival. A number of art installations will be developing over the week, with a mural on the Northern Festival Centre well underway.
It changes the dynamic of everyone's life. A lot of the time, if there's not a lot of creativity in a community, once it's put there, they sort of realise that maybe they were missing something.
Several world-class artists will be brightening up buildings, including the Red Cross and the Rowe and Partners Wall. But the upcoming heatwave may delay some of the portraits' completion. Port Lincoln history buffs took locals and tourists through the centuries with a new public presentation. It's hoped the fascinating stories will become a regular event for visitors during the upcoming cruise season.
From wars to trains and the world-class fishing industry, the foundation of Port Lincoln is a unique one, and now descendants of the historical heroes want to share their stories.
We're having a local history talk with local history gurus, so there's some amazing local history in town, and this is a way to share it.
Our history tells us who we are.
Guests flowed for the Port Lincoln History Group's first public talk, with more than 100 people in attendance.
We have 5 authors here today, and each will be speaking about their book, and hopefully we might sell some as well.
Among the authors was Joe Puglisi and his brand new book, Coastal Air.
Mine's pretty current, but yeah, still there's a bit of history in there. The book, it's about the local commercial fishing industry.
It talks about the history of the fishing industry and how new ideas and new methods came into play, and how that grew into a huge economy and has, as you know, supported this town for a long time.
In response to the full house attending today's walk through history, it's hoped the event can be showcased in the cruise season set to begin next month.
Just want to share the local history and the social history with people, and hopefully that this is going to draw them back. Even though these cruise people are only here for a day, let's hope they can come back.
Pretty keen to get out there and show off what we've got, our local Eyre Peninsula.
Casey Treloar, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us after the break. We'll have the local weather details, and with much of the region in for sweltering temperatures over the coming days, I'll tell you how hot it's going to get soon. Welcome back. Well, summer sports like basketball, softball, baseball and tennis are starting to get underway in the regions. Casey Treloar joins us in Port Lincoln. And Casey, there are a few tight games in the local basketball league.
Yes, that's right, Abby. It was the 2 Marble Range teams that showcased their form here on court, while the Sharks recorded their first loss of the season, going down to the in-form Peckers Yellow team. The Sharks held on to a strong lead until partway through the third term. That's when Yellows started hitting multiple points on the board. A thrilling fourth quarter saw the Sharks fight back, but it wasn't quite enough, going down by just 2 points. In the other matches, it was the two Rangers teams taking the victories, with Peckers Green going down by just 9 points and Lincoln South not able to get over Rangers Blue. In Port Pirie, there was 2 close games with wins to the Ducks and the Pacers. Heading to Whyalla, and the Wildcats were too strong for Rapina, with Jordan Burns scoring an impressive 26 points. And in Port Augusta, it was 2 commanding wins to the Titans and the Wildcats. To baseball in Whyalla, the Tigers defeated the Indians 11-1. In softball, Port Lincoln Squaws managed a win over the Eagles. And in Whyalla, Roadrunners were too strong for their Eagles, while the Tigers took the win over the Indians, finishing with the Mercy Rule. Taking a quick look now at Broken Hill Tennis, and there were some mixed results. The Swallows walking away as victors of the serves. Nothing could split drop shots and volleys in the first draw of the season, while backhands and topspins both cruised to 4-set wins. Back to you, Abby.
Thanks, Casey. And a Broken Hill Trots driver has received a high accolade at the New South Wales Harness Racing Awards. Anthony Adams has been named the state's leading hobbyist driver after an impressive season of racing in the Silver City. Over the 2017-18 season, he had 31 drives for 9 wins and 15 placings.
I certainly was. It was an honour to win something of that sort of calibre, and I think, you know, the percentages and that sort of stuff went in our favour, and we were able to bring it back home to the Silver City.
The next Broken Hill Harness racing season starts in December. Well, now it's time to take a look at what's happening in the weather. And while it certainly started heating up today, Port Augusta reaching a max of 34 degrees. Port Lincoln, it was fine, and 24 there. On the satellite, a pool of hot air sweeping across the southeast is set to bring very hot conditions over the coming days. And well, if you want to cool off on the waters tomorrow, southeasterly shifting southwesterly winds up to 15 knots, seas at a metre with a south-southwesterly swell. And we're in for some scorching conditions for the last day of October. Port Augusta, 39 the top for you tomorrow. Broken Hill and Port Pirie warming up to 36 degrees. And there's no relief in sight on Thursday either. Cleve 37 and Woodner 40 the top for you. We could see the odd shower, and it will cool off a little by Friday. Temps will drop 10 degrees in Port Lincoln, 23 the top to end the week, and fine conditions for the weekend with temps in the low to high 20s for all centres. Again, really hot tomorrow and Thursday. Whyalla and Port Augusta 39 the max, Kadina 36, and that heat could bring the odd shower. Still hot on Friday for Port Augusta 35, but temps will drop for the weekend. And a taste of summer here too as Port Pirie warms up to a scorching 40 degrees on Thursday. Clare 36, Broken Hill 39 for you, and hot for Friday as well before temps drop into the 20s for Saturday. But it's certainly going to be a very hot start to November. And that's all the local news this Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Abby Donaldson. Good night.